Most people think that they either want something or they need something, but there really is a third category that so many people are blinded to. And if you don't know which category you're in, you might be just self-sabotaging yourself. In this video, I'm going to break down the 3 different types of people who are lacking something in their lives and share with you practical points that you can start to use to move into the proper category. Welcome back, and if you're new to the channel, my name is Bennett Schwartz. I'm here to share some ideas that have helped me move the needle just a little bit. I hope you find them beneficial. So the other day, I started thinking about something I really wanted, and as I started thinking about it, I realized that I really didn't want it. But it was weird because on the one hand, I would tell people I really wanted this thing, and on the other hand, my actions and my mentality just didn't really draw myself towards it. So I started thinking about what is the difference between needing something, wanting something, and this mysterious other feeling that most people, I believe, have. You see, for so many people, they want to become successful, they want to be in shape, they want to have the relationships that they want to be having. But what's the difference between that and something like, I want to go get a chocolate chip cookie? Yes, fundamentally, one is a lot harder and one is a lot bigger, but the emotion about it is so much different. And I started to think about it, and I think the third category I will like to call desire. Most people either need something, they want something, or they desire something. If we can be really clear in terms of what these 3 definitions are and which one we are really talking about, I think that could be very beneficial in terms of the success that we want. Remember, this is one of those things we have to be honest with ourselves, because a lot of people I find are not so honest with themselves, and then they can't get out of that bad cycle. So make sure you're being really honest with yourselves in terms of what it is that you're feeling in order to be able to move around, and I'm going to share with you different strategies to be able to move from category to category. So let's start with the easiest one, needing something. So needing something is pretty basic. It's everything that somebody really needs, whether it's food, water, or certain drives that people have. It's really this feeling or all or nothing. Like, I need this thing or else I am not living. And I think most people know what it is that they really need. Where it gets tricky is wanting, because I think most people talk about how they want certain things, but I really don't believe they're telling the truth. You see, when somebody says that they want to be in shape or they want to have great relationships, what they really mean is that they desire it. And desiring it isn't even so bad, because at least they're interested in that thing. However, we have to realize that when we desire something, we are sort of separating this gap between us and so if we can start to really get that a little bit closer, then all of a sudden we'll be able to attain it. And once we can get it closer and take the circle of possibility, then we can start to be in the category of wanting something. So when I'm in my office and I want a cookie, I can pull myself off of my chair and walk down the stairs to get a cookie. But if I say I want to be wealthy, but I'm not really willing to put in the work, so then I really just desire it, and that's not going to actually help me get there. So now we have the 3 differences of needing something, wanting something, and desiring something. And you need to ask yourself, when you say that you want something, which one do you really mean? I think that's the first step in order for us to be able to move forward, and you have to be realistic with it. And what's interesting also is that a lot of people, they end up putting something that they don't really need into the need category. So for some people, they're driven by that need. They need to look a certain way. They need to have a certain financial status. And because of that, they work so hard and their whole life is surrounded by that need. And I'm not here to judge whether that's bad or whether that's good, and that's up to each individual, but understanding that we can move any one of these things that we desire, we can move any one of these possibilities into a specific category. So what happens if we're in the desire category and we want to move it into the wanting category? So how are we supposed to do that? So here are my basic steps. The first thing we have to do is to acknowledge it, and I think that's extremely important. So many people are in such denial in terms of the success that they want, and they're constantly making excuses in terms of where it is that they are and where it is that they want to be going. But that is really on you. You need to be able to understand what is going on here. If you don't really know where you are starting from, you're not going to be able to get to the next level. And it's why so many people need that reflection. It's one of the most powerful things about coaches, because instead of somebody calling you out, you can have a coach that you can talk with and really pull that out of you yourself. And there's nothing wrong with it. I think there's so much guilt and shame that people put on their thoughts and their desires in their own personal life, but that's not true. You don't have to feel bad about it. And if you do feel bad about it, all you're going to do is just dig yourself deeper. Understand that if you want to move forward, if you want to get past this, what you have to first do is just acknowledge it. The second thing you want to do is you want to expand that circle of possibility. You see, for yourself right now, you only think that you can be doing X, Y, and Z, and you don't really believe that you can get out of that circle. But what we have to really start to see is that we have that ability. And it's not going to be easy, but we do have to believe that it is a possibility. And whether that's reading books, listening to podcasts, or even speaking to people, those can be different ways in order for you to get out of that circle to start getting on that path of believing. Also, that being said, if you have found this video at all helpful, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. The third idea is really being surrounded by like-minded people. You see, for so many of us, we're surrounded by people who are constantly bringing us down. And this is one of the things that high performers speak about. The more you start to see that people are pretty lazy and pretty negative. And I speak a lot about in my videos in terms of like how it is that you can strategically maneuver them, and you don't have to get them out of your life fully, but understand that if you want to be able to move forward, you have to be surrounded by people who you want to be thinking like. I remember one time I was even on a walk with a good friend of mine, and we were both in a similar field at the time, and we were just talking on different wavelengths in terms of the possibility of what is happening. He was speaking so small-minded, and I kept thinking and questioning like what he was doing, and he just kept getting so nervous every time I spoke a little bigger. And not to say that wasn't right for him, but for me personally, I wanted to be doing things a little bit more, and I knew by speaking to him about this specific topic wasn't going to help him, and it wasn't going to help me. Knowing the people around you could be so influential and make you make such a different impact in terms of the success that you really want in your own life. The fourth thing you need to understand is that you need to set proper expectations. You see, for people who desire something, they want to attain a certain goal, but at the end of the day, they don't really believe that they can do it because they don't believe that the steps that they can take are possible. And because of that, when they start to shift into the wanting category, all that really happens is that they start believing that they could do it really quickly. And let me tell you, one of the biggest things that held me back in my 20s from really taking big steps was that I had the wrong expectation. I thought things were a lot easier to do. And what I realized is that I really need to put in the work. There are no shortcuts. And one specific frame around this that really helped me was to recognize that I was the investment. It wasn't the goal that I was trying to hit, but me, myself, and I was the thing that I was trying to build. And if you can stop thinking that you can take a shortcut and retire at the age of 30 and recognize that, hey, you know what? I want to be able to work. I want to be able to do what it is that I want to be doing. And all I need to be doing is working and investing in myself. That can be the thing that helps us get from point A to point B so much quicker. So many people set themselves off on the wrong foot just because they're expecting things in one way, and when they hit their first hiccup, it all comes crumbling down. Set the proper expectations, set big goals. I'm a big fan of big goals, but understand that if you're not setting proper expectations, it is the quickest way to failure. And the fifth and final idea is to really start to take action. I know it sounds silly, but if you are somebody who desires something and you really want something, start taking that action. You don't understand the power of action and how action breeds action. Whether that's action of reading a book, reaching out to people, doing something towards that thing that you really want, that can really help you get there. It's really a question that you need to start asking yourself, but I'm telling you, if you can start to move forward and take those small steps, that could be the thing that changes everything for you. So what is it? Are you wanting something, desiring something, or needing something? And which category are you trying to get into? And if you're not sure where to start, make sure to take a look at this next video where we talk about the importance of self-awareness.